Hello and welcome to Chopped Greens. I am your host, Philip Amerine, sitting alongside my guest host for the day,
Gareth Boucher. Welcome.
Welcome. And let's start off the show in a very angry spot. Gary, I hate you.
Tell me why.
Okay, so if you've been listening and you've been following along, you would know that because I lost on my bracket challenge...
Badly. Not admirable.
Nobody I know...
Oregon.
Nobody I know picked Gonzaga, maybe UNC, but nobody I know picked Gonzaga to make it all the way.
Wow.
Excuse me for believing in Arizona. And because Oregon made it farther, that is the sole reason why you, Gareth Boucher, forced me to put a random Lord of the Rings poster, picture as my profile
Phil
picture.
hates Lord of the Rings, by the way, so I thought it would be...
appropriate.
It would be an appropriate punishment, yeah.
But more so, let's talk about the
post. The post that I personally wrote for Phil with very specific word choice.
Now, Gary, be honest here. I hounded you for that post because I was a man and I wanted to take my punishment.
Yep, and I made him wait. I brushed it off, and then eventually...
I did not try and cheat this. I did not try and dodge the punishment. I found you. I waited until the end of the championship game.
Yep.
And so I said, hey, where's the post? Until finally, like Christmas morning... Upon eating my Egg McMuffin,
you wake up to a
beautifully stated, written Sean Spicer opening statement of me moving to Alaska. And more than anything else, I was just astounded that so many people believed it.
Yeah, there were some pretty close people to you on Facebook who were really happy that you were moving to go be a tour guide in the Alaskan bush. Basically, I wrote Phil this status, and it goes like, so I know that this is going to be hard for you guys to believe, but honestly, lately I've really fallen in love with mountaineering and the great outdoors, so I'm going to go work with this...
Time out there.
What's that?
Mountaineering. If you know me at all, you know that, one, I don't like camping. For two... If I'm going to pick up a sport or athletic activity of some sort, it would be running.
Would not be mountaineering.
Mountaineering is so far off the spelunking radar.
How well do your friends really know you, Philip? Do they really know you at all?
And so, for some reason, everybody just... And let me also say... Thank you for being so supportive.
Yeah, I mean, these people were all in on Phil going to be an Alaskan bush tour guide.
For those of you who loved it, I'm going to assume that you loved penguins and not me actually leaving for Alaska because this is the gift that keeps on giving.
Yeah.
But the gift that does not keep on giving is going in style. So...
Oh, boy. You guys probably don't know what that is because no one cares about this movie.
No, that's not true. That's not true. Actually, I heard there were lines to go see Going in Style with Michael Caine, Morgan Freeman, Alan Arkin, guest appearances by Christopher Lloyd, Matt Dillon. We've got a star-studded cast here, Gary, and rumor has it around the Sun City area.
Oh, boy.
There were lines of popping.
I had to drive to Surprise, Arizona, which, if you don't know, is the boondocks of the Phoenix metropolitan area, just to watch this movie. And it's in a really entrenched in an old person community. And the line to see Going in Style was literally out the door. The theater was sold out. I mean, it was like, I haven't seen a theater this packed since I went to go see the newest Star Wars movie. It was absolutely absurd. And they ate it up, because it was... I don't know if these old people were fantasizing about robbing banks, but they thought it was just the greatest cinematic achievement of the past 30 years. I was amazed by how many people were there.
They were camping out.
Seriously, they're scalping tickets outside for $3,000. It was just insane.
Hey, come see Going in Style for a nickel.
You got any more of them tickets to Going in Style? You got any more of them tickets?
So they went in style to go see this movie.
Yes.
And we actually had some high hopes for it. We thought that with Michael Caine, Morgan Freeman, Alan Arkin, all three of which you have found a love in, and especially Alan Arkin. I know that tugs at your heartstrings.
He's great. Alan Arkin's just an angry old man, and I love it.
And then there's Michael Caine. Michael Caine. Good night, you Princess of Wales.
Do not go that needs that dark night.
There you go. So let's start out why if you have not inferred so far as to why we did not enjoy this movie. I don't think we can go anywhere without a script. Because this movie had no script.
No, I'm convinced that this was submitted by a 6th grader for like a national essay contest. This isn't a script. This was a disgrace. Almost like it's like Suicide Squad level dialogue. It was just terrible, and those 3 lead actors can only do so much to mask just god awful dialogue. It was wrong. It was a disgrace.
Well, to be honest with you, this is a refurbished movie.
Refurbished?
Yeah, it's a remake of the 1979 comedy. It was an alright movie of Warner Brothers, yeah. Fun fact. And I don't know that they were successful in that I felt
I would say that they failed.
Well, I don't know if it was just an agenda or if it was just a reoccurring theme or what have you, but this ideology of old just came bursting through the seams of the script. Like, that was the propelling factor upon which this whole movie was built. It was, well, they're old. Well, why are they going to rob a bank? Because they're old. Why not?
It's funny because they're old. Every single shtick, every single plot point, every single gimmick in the movie is like, it's old guys doing this, and that's why it's compelling or funny.
There was no complexity to it whatsoever. Yeah. There was no humanistic ability in an old person script because it was so unbelievable and all old. And it was everything. The only part of it that was actually funny about it being old was when Doc Brown, Christopher Lloyd, came on. Right.
Every time he comes on screen.
Every time he came on screen, he was absolutely friggin' hilarious.
Yeah, it's Doc Brown, of course.
And he was like, and even his joke about, well, that man tried to sell me cocaine.
He was trying to sell me cocaine in the car.
Get out of here! We don't have any more cocaine.
Just an image of him picking up corn with a spoon and spilling it. That was the funniest part of the movie. Like, it beats anything else that happened the whole time.
That was the highlight of the movie.
Was him trying to eat corn. Literally.
And there's just so many. The script itself was so foreseeable. You could. Literally,
yes.
Me as a novice script writer could tell you this is probably what's going to happen next.
Yeah,
and boom.
No element of surprise for the audience, and not compelling at all. Like, so the whole movie follows like these 3 old guys whose pensions have been taken away by the steel company that they work for because the steel company is moving all of its work to Vietnam. And that sounds really sad.
Vietnam in 30 days.
In 30 days,
Vietnam in 30 days.
Yes, that's an important plot point because they have 30 days to learn how to rob a bank, right? But they skip over like the whole steel company thing, and it really just doesn't seem believable at all. The fact that like these guys' pensions were just cut and the steel company just up and left and fired everybody, and it's all skimmed through really, really, really fast, and it doesn't resonate at all.
And it almost feels like it was poor editing or just too much editing from where they were saying, well, we got to cut down this movie to fit time, so just
it's only
get rid
an
of
hour
that
and
story.
36 minutes, which is really quite fast for something like that.
Quite fast. Well, either quite fast or not enough. It was just right in that sweet spot of awful because even that wedding at the end was just uncalled for. It just felt like filler it had 3 different endings and none of them were different than one another. It was just more, so this is how they did it. Okay, I guess that's fine. Because really the only redeemable part in this whole film was the alibi story.
That was kind of cool.
And you know why it was so cool? Is because each one of them was narrating their section in the part. And when you have 2 great
tension too.
And when you have 2 great voice actors such as Michael Caine and Morgan Freeman narrating anything, you listen. Even if it's penguins, even if it's somebody going through a football field of poo-poo. You know, whatever it is, you watch, you listen, and you learn.
You get encapsulated,
Alan Arkin, I don't know if I could listen to him talking about somebody going through a whole football field of poo-poo, but besides the point, that brings me to, if they both have as recognizable voices as they do, you absolutely cannot have it so that the 2 maybe most recognizable voices of our movie actor generation are just going to somewhat change their voice and not be recognizable.
Yeah.
If I don't care who you are, even if Morgan Freeman wasn't Morgan Freeman, if you heard Morgan Freeman speak and he's saying, "Get down to the ground," you would just know, hey, I'm going to get down to the ground because
it's Morgan Freeman.
It's Morgan Freeman. That voice.
I thought that was a lame little shtick at the end too. Everything, like, nothing seems believable.
Oh, the shtick of Alan Arkin's character maybe somewhat dying, and then
like the shtick of like why each of these guys is doing what they're doing. One of them is doing it for their family. One of them is doing it for like his granddaughter. One of them is doing it like to find love. Like, and that's all like their backstories, and it all just feels like this is what's necessary to move the plot along. So we came up with a really lame story to put in there, and there
was no true motivation. I felt it was not justifiable.
Exactly, it was just like kind of silly.
For two, the script was convenient as need be.
Yeah.
And it would just serve its own purpose to be like, oh, the little girl right now who was absolutely scared and horrified is going to somewhat grow conscious.
I saw, and it's like, dude, she's like 4 years old. She's not going to like recognize, like, and if any 4-year-old, if she was in the middle of a bank robbery, would recognize the bad guy and just think that he was a bad guy. She's not going to feel compassion for this Morgan Freeman character and save his ass in the end. It was ridiculous.
The plot holes were aplenty, and it was a beaver dam full of plot holes that was sinking and falling.
Release the river. It's Lord of the Rings reference. Mr.
I was going to say I missed that part of the movie. That would have been interesting.
That would have been the best part of this Lord of the Rings reference.
Oh my goodness.
Because everything else was utterly, completely, maniacally, and unforgivingly forgettable.
That's true.
Actually, you know what's funny? It's sticking out in my mind the fact that I can't remember or care about anything.
Well, let me bring you back to maybe this will just be my shtick. Everybody has their own thing that they bring up and they always continually argue.
Yeah.
I hate kid actors.
Yeah, this has been like a running theme for like 4 weeks. Like anytime like a kid actor who's not like Oscar winner comes in, Phil is like, they gotta be off the screen. And yeah, I pretty much agree with you.
The only thing that saved this movie...
It brings a scene down if you got a child actor who can't act.
The only thing that was somewhat salvageable in this movie was the performance... It was Michael Caine, Morgan Freeman, and Alan Arkin.
Yeah,
and even then, they're not being able to do much above what they're given.
There's nothing special. I mean, it's just kind of fun to like watch them do drugs and rob a bank. Like, ha ha ha, that's funny, but
above that... When you have bad acting, so not only do I have bad editing, I have a bad script, I have a bad plot, I have a bad actual commit through of the crime. So let me get to that later. But now I also have to sit through bad children acting. I wanted to go out in style myself and go get a pedicure or something.
I was thinking of that in all the scenes where Michael Caine is walking his granddaughter to school. I was like, wow, this little girl's like 12 and she gets like 6 scenes with Michael Caine. Like, how incredible for that young actress. And then she was just so lame. Like, it's like it was totally forgettable.
She was so lame that you could actually see Michael Caine not giving a singular motion of energy towards her. He was just there were moments where I feel like he had another line to say, but he just didn't feel that the child deserved that next line, so he just looked at her, gave a little smile, and walked away. Michael kind of why.
A little Michael Grin.
A little Michael Grin. A little Michael Grin. Okay, so so it's all built around this resounding idea that old people would go and rob a bank, and then
justice against the bank. Yeah.
Right, and it somehow became this Robin Hood, steal from the rich,
which doesn't resonate at all.
It doesn't hold any water or anything, and especially when they're trying to just rob the bank. So then you're adding this virtuoso thing that you really don't need. I mean, I feel that we're past this whole. They're just bad guys if they're robbing a bank, unless if they kill somebody, as long as they have somewhat of a conscience. Yeah. Usually, moviegoers are like, yeah, rob a bank, enjoy.
Yeah. That's what it's for. We go to movies to watch people justify robbing banks. That's fun. It's no different.
Let's go into the actual plan here. So for one, 30 days earlier, this bank had just already been robbed. Okay?
Yep, and Michael Caine was there during the robbery, and that planted the scene. I could do that.
Right. Yeah. Right. And so he thinks to himself, he gets this idea that he can't get out of his head. Let's go and rob a bank. Okay. Somewhat believable. Fine. Okay, whatever. You need to make a script and story.
Yeah.
But the fact that he was so adamant that it had to be this particular bank, that to me just felt like some sort of dramatic scene change that they were on a budget and couldn't go past any other.
Well, we only have this
location.
bank rented out for 2 days, so
and they had stock footage. They had stock footage in this movie. In a movie, Gary, they had stock footage of the police cars driving up to pick up Alan Arkin and Morgan Freeman and Michael Caine.
Yeah, it sticks out. It looks like someone.
It looks so bad.
Bought it off of a video block. Someone typed in video of cops in Manhattan, and then they spent the $50 to get the clip and they put it in their movie. It's pretty. And there's also like all those stock, like, you know that they didn't go out and get a drone or a helicopter to get shots of Manhattan. You just go on the internet and just find aerial shots of Manhattan just for filler and transitions. It's lazy and it's weak.
And so what do? They go 30 days later, rob this bank, which I'm not so sure that in some essence of bank security guard tropes that they're not setting up higher security for. That
was literally my thought. Like if this bank got robbed 30 days earlier, the day after they would have implemented like triple the security measures just to make sure it never happened again. But there's still just one security guard who does nothing, the same guard as before. This is not believable at all.
Then they not only admit to being old people by picking out old gangster suits and also putting on Rat Pack
Frank
masks,
Sinatra
and so on and so forth. But then they even have the script has the audacity to unmask Morgan Freeman, have him have a heart attack and what have you, and keep going on, and that doesn't unravel everything. Yeah, that in and of itself does nothing. That is inconsequential as the plot so deemed it.
Yeah.
And they move on to a point where the gentleman, the manager of the bank, shoots at the three robbers.
From like 10 feet away, misses them all
with every, what was that, 8 shots?
Yeah, about 8 shots. He missed them.
And then he goes up to him and he says, "They're blanks, you idiot."
Ha! It's a joke. Dude.
At that point, there's so many things wrong with this.
Yeah.
At that point, somebody gets up and says, "Really?" And then they run and go get them, and for the authorities to come. Plus, that scene took a lot longer than whatever they were allotted. What was it? 2 minutes or 4 minutes?
Yes,
3 minutes.
I hate when in a movie in real time they're like, "We've only got 3 minutes." And then, unless they're cutting back and forth from this location to another one, if they're staying in the bank, they should have made that a 3-minute scene, or at least use like some faster cutting to make it seem really crazy. It was like a 10-minute scene, and like it felt like a 10-minute scene.
And the problem that it stumbles across is that there are so many good heist movies that it neither came across as comedic nor a good heist movie. In the highlight moment, in the epitome, this is the climax of what we are building up towards. It achieved neither a culmination of a good heist movie or even like just a bad enough heist to where it's unbelievable and it's comedic gold. It achieved neither, and in failing to do so, it just failed.
You want to watch a good heist movie? Go watch The Town, something like that. You want to watch
Inside Man?
Yeah.
Just pick your Swordfish.
Yeah.
Pick a friggin' movie, but this just wasn't even comedic, and I don't know if what the intention was to just. Set a movie set to the older genre demographic, or whether it was to just be a comedy.
I don't know, because besides like every time when Christopher Lloyd came on and I kind of went, ha! The biggest laugh that this movie got out of me was like that nose breathe of affirmation, just the... That's like the loudest I laughed the whole time. Oh,
I missed that. The nose breathe?
Yes, like, you know how if somebody says something that's...
Oh, you yourself were just like, huh.
You know, if somebody says something that's not actually funny, but you want to verbally acknowledge that they're trying to be funny, you kind of breathe heavily. You go... That was how I was laughing the whole movie. I was like, I understand that this is supposed to be funny, so I'll kind of... That was about it.
And I'll grant
it wasn't funny at all.
The best thought-out process of the whole movie was the alibi redeeming scene, and we touched on it a little earlier. But when it's going through all the cut shots, it just highlights the awful editing.
Yeah.
So even when
all those like wipes across the screen, Don't use wipes. Please, dude, find out a better way to transition besides drone shots of a city and a car and a screen wipe. That's a lazy transition.
We're past 2000, and it's not even witty. It wasn't even used in a clever way. It was just for the purposes of being cheap and edited.
Yeah.
And the fact that you got these three prestigious actors to come together and create this is sad that this was the final product.
I don't know, like, if Morgan Freeman, Michael Caine, and Alan Arkin each owe a lot, like, in personal debt, or maybe they have, like, a private jet or a mortgage, but I'm like, who... Because they're all smart actors who are pretty selective with their scripts now that they're so old. How much did the studio offer to pay them to get them to do this? Because this is so below them. So below their talent.
Who, out of the three, who are you most disappointed with for choosing something like this? That's a tough one, because...
Honestly, like, I'm not surprised, like, that Alan Arkin...
Alan Arkin, to be fair...
I like Alan Arkin, but he's not as prestigious as Morgan Freeman.
He's not as prestigious, nor is he as popular, so I don't feel as if he has made enough in gross sales as the other two, so he can at least have been a sellout and be warranted in that.
I would say probably it's really close, because with both of them it's so surprising. With Michael Caine and Morgan Freeman, but probably a little bit of the edge. I'm more disappointed that Michael Caine was in it, just because it felt even more awkward because he's British and all.
Yeah, they didn't even explain why he's British.
Yeah, and all the rest of his family is like Brooklyn American, and he's got like a Cockney accent, and it's like, sure, that makes sense.
Okay, and then one of the biggest plot holes in this thing is the dad comes back. His son-in-law comes back to... Even from the point of him making breakfast, the son-in-law making pancakes for Michael Caine's daughter-in-law, or granddaughter rather. Let me finally hit it.
There it is.
They never explain as to whether Michael Caine used intimidation of some sort, just guilt tripped him, or how he got him to come back.
He's just there in the house, and
he's just like, all of a sudden we're just there to accept.
I have decided to be a good father, and there's no explanation why, but besides the fact that the script needs me to be here and be a good father, so that's about it.
Now, again, lazy script, lazy editing, and I don't know if it's a combination of whether some point in the movie they were just like, this is too boring, we can't add this scene in of him just slapping him across the face and saying, come in and make pancakes. I don't know what it is, and I might have actually enjoyed that. And I'm disappointed that Matt Dillon was in this, quite honestly. Yeah. That guy's just completely on a list of sellouts that I just can't... He had somewhat of a tragedy. Yeah. He had somewhat of a trajectory, and then at this movie, he just comes across as like, Matt Dillon? Is he in this? Okay, maybe I was... Nope, I was completely wrong.
You want to know what's sad? All the actors we've named, they all have something in common.
They're all
actors, not actresses.
That's very true.
No good female role in this movie. Great female actors, I guess, but really, really weak on the writing for more than 4 men character side,
But Gary, that's so sexist. Do you know that they could have been making a sequel, Gals in Style?
Oh, for sure. That's going to happen. And
Diane Keaton, Meryl Streep, and...
That would be a fantastic movie.
Who's the third one? Who fills that out? Diane Keaton,
Whoopi Goldberg.
Oh, yes, for the
Whoopi Goldberg.
There you go. Whoopi Goldberg. Mm-hmm. And
3 great actresses, and it'll just bomb, but it'll sell out the Superplex.
Actually, they already made that. It's called Mad Money. It's pretty bad.
And I bet you it sold out that theater in Surprise, though. Bet you everyone went.
It wasn't as old as... that movie was not as old as Going in Style veered towards.
Yeah, that's true. This film, not a single... I mean, every female character in this movie is a daughter...
Yeah.
A wife or a sex symbol, and that's... And they just fill the desires of the other male characters. They act as the motivation instead of actual characters. And in the end, you're like, wow, there wasn't a single notable girl in that movie. Huh. That's lazy screenwriting,
But to be fair, well, you kind of just touched upon it. To be fair, is that more a sign of a purposeful intention to leave out women roles or women...
It could very well be purposeful, but
But
I don't like it.
Yeah, no, I was going to say, or is it the more likely and latter option of that it was just left out a thing of a very bad script?
I mean, I get it.
That's almost like criticizing Angry Birds for not having a more prominent piggy role.
Yeah.
You know?
I honestly like...
In the sense... Well, hold on. Let me just explain that. Yeah. Just that in the sense of that... just because they weren't as prominent as you would like them to be doesn't mean that they weren't a thought of commodity. It was just more it you had to work with it or what you had.
Purposely written like that. I mean, I love buddy cop movies that
Lethal
revolve
Weapon.
around a group of guys, stuff like that. But I still think that there's room for good female characters in any movie. And even movies like Lethal Weapon, or one of my favorites is The Other Guys, still has more developed female characters, you know, because it's disproportionate that 80% of the written characters would be male when 51% of our population is female. I think you could get a little bit more representation in there. That's just I think that this movie failed in doing that. Maybe it would have been better if it would have had a more motivated female character in there.
Well, you know what they say, money speaks, and that's where I think a lot of the executives, I feel that they're more of an meritocracy than we give them credit for.
Yeah.
And when we see blockbusters such as Ghostbusters, the new female cast version, somewhat bomb or not lead up to its expectation or its hype. Granted, it wasn't my type of movie. It wasn't a good movie.
Yeah.
When something like that bombs, it just serves as reaffirmation in that stigma that a female-led troupe of women cannot carry a movie.
It stinks because that's totally not true, but people are going to be like, oh, well, this movie was a bomb, so you got to have a strong male lead. I don't think that's true at all. Have you look at like Bridesmaids, which was like revolutionary for like female comedy. Yeah. Like how many like raunchy how many raunchy comedies are female oriented? Like none. And that totally changed the game. So there's potential. There's a lot of room for growth when it comes to not even like centering your whole movie around women, but just having better women characters.
Having better characters would have served this movie better.
Characters in general. Yeah. For this one, yeah. Having
better characters would have served this better for sure. Your Rotten Tomatoes score, Gary, is
23.
Why am I the more generous person out of both of us? I was going to give it a 37.
37 was the first number that popped into my head, but then I was like, wait, no. 23.
All right.
23%. Almost terrible, but Christopher
Almost? That's pretty terrible.
Christopher Lloyd, I would say anything that's in the teens or under is just terrible.
Uh-huh.
And then 20 to like 45 is like bad.
Mm-hmm.
But Christopher Lloyd spilled corn and I laughed. So
gotta give it that.
Not terrible, yeah.
He spilled the corn.
Give it to me.
30.
37. Yeah.
37. I feel that it was chuckle worthy, and it wasn't. I didn't immediately fall asleep, nor did I want to walk out of the theater.
We both slept during Ghost in the Shell.
Yeah.
We didn't sleep during this one. Wow,
no,
that's weird.
It was more that you were disappointed rather than Ghost in the Shell. I went expecting to not be entertained. I think so. But if you want to be entertained, you should stick by for this Give Me 5.
Much more entertainment value than any movie you'll ever see
this year so far. Stay tuned. And we are back here with Give Me 5. It's the part of the show where I've got 5 questions for you, Gary. You got 5 questions for me.
Amen.
Are you ready for me, sir?
I'm ready like spaghetti.
All right, here we go. Gary, just 3 months after welcoming son Isa, into the world and nearly 5 years of marriage together, music icon Janet Jackson and billionaire businessman Wissam Al-Mana have called it quits. The reason behind the split has yet to be confirmed, but Page 6 has reported a source revealing their decision to divorce was an amicable one and will be happy to co-parent, while another source said Janet felt Wissam was too controlling during the pregnancy. Now, word on the street is Michael Jackson's little sister would only have to remain in the marriage for 5 years to be awarded $500 million in a divorce settlement. Can you guess how long their marriage has been?
5 years?
Just about, yeah.
Oh, there it is.
So, Gary, where do you fall on the online debate over whether or not Janet Jackson sugar mommed herself to an extra $500 million for 5 years?
Think that she's a gold digger?
Just place right here. Continue.
That's so funny because, she is famous and probably has at least dozens of millions of dollars, so I can't imagine, why she would try to get the $500 million. Maybe part resentment, part that's kind of too good to be true. So I'm probably gonna say that was probably a factor. She hit the 5-year mark, and maybe it was a bad marriage, and she powered through it, knowing that she'd be rewarded in the end with a crap ton of money.
That's $100 million a year,
hey,
Gary. $100 million for $100 million a year. I don't care how rich you are. $500 million is $500 million.
I would marry Steve Bannon or Donald Trump for 5 years to get the $100 million a year.
There's a lot of ashamed things that I do for $500 million.
Even $100. Just kidding.
Yeah, $100 million. $100 is quite a bit different than $500 million.
Yes. All right, so my first question, we're going to relate it a little bit to the movie that we're talking about, but it's going to be all happy things.
Okay.
The two biggest stars in that movie were Morgan Freeman and Michael Caine.
Michael Caine.
This is a little two-parter, okay? I have each of their lifetime box office grosses and each of their lifetime total movies that they've done. So I'm just going to give you two numbers, and you're going to try to guess which one goes with which actor.
All right, Michael Caine or Morgan Freeman. That was awful.
Oh, yeah, well, that was a really good switch from Cockney to God, so that's great. So one of them, this one's a close call. One of them has done 62 movies in their career.
Okay.
Very expensive careers for both of them. One of them has done 59.
Oh.
Which one has done 62 movies? Which one has done 59?
So that is very close. It's 3 apart. I'm gonna go with Morgan Freeman having the edge, only because I've seen Morgan Freeman in more movies. And even though Michael Caine started out a little younger, he was more sporadic.
You are extremely right. Morgan Freeman has done 3 more movies, so they're virtually the same. This next one's quite a bit of difference. One of them has had a $4,483,000,000 just about lifetime gross at the box office. Mm-hmm. The other one has a $3,003,000,000 lifetime gross at the box office. So there's almost $1 billion difference in gross. Both of them have been involved in really, really big landmark productions over the years. Which one has $1 billion more in lifetime movie gross?
You know what makes this really hard is that they were both in the Dark Knight series.
Exactly.
Where I thought that one might be able to edge them out, but
that's what gets you, is that they've both been in all those Batman movies, which have over $1 billion total. That's a third of their revenue right there.
And I can't off the top of my head, imagine a blockbuster hit outside of Cider House Rules for Michael Keaton, whereas Morgan Freeman, I remember some more blockbustery movies as far as
Remember, Michael Caine has done every Christopher Nolan movie, and which have all grossed upwards of $500 million.
That's right, Interstellar. That's right.
Interstellar, Inception. But then Morgan Freeman was in Shawshank. He was in he's had a hand, at least a bit part in a lot of big movies. So you think about it, you're like, whoa, they've each done a ton of high budget movies.
I still got to go with Morgan Freeman. I'm thinking you're misleading me here. I'm going for 2 for 2 for Morgan.
2 for 2 is right. Your intuition is great. Right you are, but they've both done a surprising amount of... they've been around for a long time, and they both grossed a ton of money. But Morgan Freeman, I think he's also maybe a step up as far as being recognizable.
Oh, yeah.
In cinema. Michael Caine is obviously a landmark, but Morgan Freeman maybe a little bit more so.
And plus you associate him with the voice, as opposed to Michael Caine. Once you hear the voice, you're like, Michael Caine.
Yes.
All right. Passengers were already on board the United Express flight from Chicago O'Hare International Airport to Louisville, Kentucky on Sunday evening when the airline was unable to find passengers willing to give up their seats for 4 airline employees in return for credits for future flights. Selected 4 passengers to bump to a later flight. After one man, Dr. David Dow, repeatedly refused to leave, security personnel pulled him from his seat, dragged him through the aisle and off the aircraft. Outrage erupted on social media after other passengers shared the video of the incident. United stock has plummeted by as much as 6.3% in pre-market trading, dropping $1.4 billion from the now $21 billion company by market cap. By early trading Tuesday, shares were down 4%. Gary, how does United recover from this? And if you were a passenger on board, what would you have done?
United recovers from this, in my opinion, by immediately changing their policy. One of two ways. We all know, this is actually news to me, but it makes sense. Every airline purposely overbooks just to ensure that if people cancel or don't show up, the flights are booked. And then every airline has the policy where you start off at the ticket value and go up to about, I think it's $1,350 you can offer to a person to get them to get off. I say either A, you get rid of that and you stop overbooking flights, because that was totally wrong what happened. Or B, you don't cap how much you offer these people. You can't kick people off. You keep going and you keep going and you just keep raising the price, like maybe up to like $5 or $10 grand, because this guy was a doctor. And he had a patient, multiple patients to go see. He said, no, I'm not getting off. I paid for my ticket. They dragged him off and gave him a concussion. If you watch the video, they slam his face into a seat arm. And
starts bleeding from the mouth.
Yeah, United, I'll tell you what they don't do. They don't do what they did with their CEO. He came out and said, basically, that it was this guy's fault for being belligerent. That was just completely wrong. And you know what? I'm gonna turn tables here, and I'm gonna ask you a nicer question.
Fantastic. We need a little change of scenery.
I just got real passionate right there because I feel bad for Dr. David.
Dr. Dow.
Dr. Dow. Also, if I was on that flight, I would have filmed it. I would have put it out everywhere. I watching it made me want to act, but I was like, I probably wouldn't have tried to fight a cop. I would have filmed it though.
That's the thing, is it was a police officer.
Two of them, yeah. So
what do you do? What are you gonna do?
Stand up and try to fight him? You'll get dragged off too. Let's see. You ended my last question about their voices, Michael Caine and Morgan Freeman. If you have a film, a documentary about your life, I want you to think really hard about their voices. Whose voice do you pick to narrate the film of your life? Michael Caine or Morgan Freeman?
Between those two?
Philip Amerine led a great life. He was an actor and a broadcaster, and now he has died. And I'm here to tell you the story of his life. Or do you do Morgan? I can't do Morgan Freeman. How do you do it?
Morgan Freeman.
Philip Amerine led a great... I can't... It's so hard.
It's down, and it's cadence. It's down like this. So, anybody listening knows what he's talking about. No, I'm still kind of going Michael Caine.
Yeah.
But between the two, you have to choose Morgan Freeman. Unfortunately, there is no parallel. There is no parallel. Michael Caine in another competition could win.
Or do you pick Alan Arkin if you had a really angry life to narrate the story of your life?
Yeah, there's no scenario where I choose Alan Arkin, even in my deepest, darkest, non-wanted dreams.
Alan Arkin could probably narrate the life of the United Airlines story. So then the freaking cops took the guy and dragged him out. Isn't that ridiculous?
It's ridiculous.
I can't believe it. That's also my default Bernie Sanders voice.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah, the one.
Oh, actually, they might be good comps if a Bernie movie ever comes out.
Alan Arkin could totally play Bernie Sanders. Oh, we're getting it to happen.
There we go. Little Miss Bernie.
Either him,
Little Miss Birdie.
Either him or Larry David would be the best choice.
Yeah, Larry David killed it on SNL. Yeah. That was funny. All right, Gary, over the weekend, new metal band Korn announced on Facebook that they will be touring their upcoming South America shows with a special guest. Filling in for their regular bassist, Fieldy, will be Ty Trujillo, the 12-year-old son of Metallica bassist Robert Trujillo.
That's amazing.
Isn't it, though? Yeah. The young Trujillo is currently the bassist for a band called The Helmets. Gary, what were you doing at the tender age of 12? And if you could have been a child prodigy of something, which area of your life would you choose?
You know what's funny? Every time I see a successful high schooler, like one of those Disney Channel stars or a 12-year-old just touring with Korn, I think of how unfair it is. Or not unfair, but just a shame that I wasn't a worldwide phenomenon at 12. Like I see like a hoop mixtape of like a sixth grader dunking on people, and I'm like, oh my god. When I was the tender age of 12, I started playing basketball.
Okay.
I took guitar in Miss Schlanger's class as an elective, and I wanted to be a rock star. What would I have wanted to be good at 12? Probably acting for one, because I was doing like youth theater, and two, honestly, like I always fantasize like being on stage with my favorite band, so probably being like a guest guitarist in a concert of like Weezer or something.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. That's not a bad selection at all.
12-year-old Gary actually wasn't really good at anything, unfortunately.
Yeah, you could have been the Tiger Woods of the NBA, if that makes any sense.
You know what did Michael Jordan say? We're gonna...
The ceiling is the roof!
The ceiling is the roof, guys. For 12-year-old Gary, the ceiling is the roof.
But it's really an existential question. Because there was no ceiling and there was no roof. Because UNC won.
Exactly.
Oh.
That's just Michael Jordan messing with your mind, man. You watch out. My question for you, Philip.
Yes.
Toshiba has announced that it is most likely going out of business, which at first glance you kind of don't care, but then I think about like all the technology that I saw in my life growing up. A lot of it was like Toshiba, computer monitors, TVs, remotes,
right.
Like a lot of like
right.
The technology of the 2000s was all Toshiba. And then apparently they invested in nuclear technology, and after the, I believe it's pronounced Fukushima nuclear disaster in Japan, nuclear technology was just a no-go for everyone. And so they're going to go out of business, but no one could have fathomed that because they were like at the top of the tech world like 10, 15 years ago. So my question to you is there a business, a worldwide business right now that you could see being obsolete in like 10 or 15 years, going out of business?
I'll tell you, the only two that popped into my head, for whatever reason, and my head's a scary place to be.
It is.
The two that popped into my head was Starbucks. So I won't say that one since that's probably scary for you.
Skagary. I need a job in 10 years, man.
That's true. So I'm going to go with my other one, and it's kind of off the wall. But follow me here, all right? That lovable old aunt that we all know her curves, Aunt Jemima.
And like the syrup?
The syrup/pancake business.
Okay, why is Aunt Jemima? I love her stuff. They're so cheap and delicious.
It's so cheap and delicious, but hear me out. I think that we're moving we're kind of at a market disadvantage right now where we're really heavy into healthy foods. It used to be until Super Size Me that we were into fast foods and just constantly going and eating until somebody finally stopped us on a nationwide scale and said, "Look, it's not good for you." Then we kind of went into this kale, seaweed, sushi, eating healthy phase. Yeah. And I think that eventually that there's going to be a market correction, or say that let's elongate that out, that it's not a trend, it's a fashion style. And it's always going to be fashionable from here on out to eat healthy. Yeah. I think we move towards either healthier pancakes or some other version, and that brand, Aunt Jemima, is either going to be stereotyped in this PC world and it's going to become BFF Jemima, or it's going to be my BFF Jam. You know, it's something into where Jemima is Joe No Mo.
I think that you may be onto something here, and I'm really
You were going to say you think I'm on something, huh?
Yeah, no, not on something. I think you're onto something because, you know what's really sad? I just actually finished my box of Aunt Jemima pancake mix, and I was going to go get some more, and now I'm going to go buy 5 more because I'm going to support the companies that I like.
Well, but they also have some really good protein pancakes out now. There's like a bear one now that's really good.
Some of those like super nutritious pancakes, and they're delicious, but nothing beats just Aunt Jemima, some water, maybe smash up a banana, some chocolate chips in there. Oh, still, bar none, the best homey pancake out there.
All right, fair enough, but wrong. All right, Gary, on this day in 1976, Apple came out with its first computer.
It's funny, we were just talking about Toshiba.
I know, so now we're moving into the now new top technology, dog. And in celebration of the 40-year landmark, I have a game. I have 5 facts about Apple. I want you to tell me if they are true or if they are false.
Awesome.
And just as a forewarning, Luke did the Gimme 5, and he did the exact same Uber facts. Do you think he did better or worse than you?
I think he did better than me because I did pretty bad.
You did awful. You did 1 out of 4.
I did 1 out of 4.
Luke got 3 out of 5, if I'm not mistaken.
Are you serious?
Oh, he was rocking.
Why are you feeding him answers just to delegitimize me being your guest host?
He did a victory lap too. He was pretty excited about beating you. So.
Well, we're gonna have fun on tomorrow's podcast.
Yes, we will. We'll get to that after this. But here we go. All right, first fact. You tell me if it's true or if I completely made it up. Here we go. The iPhone was almost named something else, with the company considering names such as Mobi, Telepod, and Tripod. True or false?
False.
That is absolutely 100% true, Gary. Not starting off on the right foot.
I figured because they started out with like iMac and all that stuff, that the iPhone would just follow suit. Or maybe the iPhone was the first I. And then, because they started out with the Apple One, and then after that they had the iPhone, the iPod, the iMac.
Right.
So the iPhone was actually the first one of those. So I'm gonna re-give you my answer and say true.
Are you?
So I'm 1 for 1 right now.
Sure.
Pretty much.
All right. Sounds good. Fact number 2. Apple is pretty secretive. The company is said to have created fake projects for employees and management to work on, and if the news leaks, you can hit the road. They'll know exactly who spilled the beans. True or false?
True.
100% true. Excellent job at sniffing that one out, Gary.
You know, it's like I got this iPhone right here. I can't even open up the back of it and change out my battery like I could with my Samsung. So they're very exclusive and secretive with their product.
Yeah, you can just open up the front as soon as you dropped it on the floor right
Well,
there.
now my screen is shattered like every iPhone, so it's perfect.
Excellent. All right. It cost $666.66 to build the first Apple computer. So for those of you keeping track at home, that's 5 sixes in a row. 666.66.
It cost that much to build the first Apple computer?
Apple computer, yes. True or false?
I'm going to say false. Probably cost more than that.
It is 100% true, Gary. You are on the wrong track yet again.
Steve Jobs' devil worshiper or something. What is this?
Yeah, apparently it was confirmed somewhere that nobody in there worships Satan, so...
Well, we'll see about that.
Ronald Wayne, the forgotten Apple co-founder, sold his shares in the company in 1977 for $800. True or false?
False.
Gary, my friend, you're wrong again.
Are you serious? I watched the movie Steve Jobs and John Wayne wasn't even in it.
Yeah.
That guy.
Ronald Wayne, yes.
Ronald Wayne.
That's true, 100% true. For $800, says he doesn't regret it. I think that's 100%.
That's 100%.
Because now that's over worth his little 10. He only had like 10%, and it's over $10 billion now. Yeah. All right, number 5. Last one. The revenue generated by Apple is more than the GDP of many countries, including Ecuador, Libya, and Iraq, among hundreds of others.
Hundreds of others?
Hundreds. True or false?
There's like 263 countries in the world, so I'm going to say the first part is true, but not hundreds of countries, probably dozens.
Final answer?
Final answer.
Oh, Gary. 1 for 4 again, Gary.
What?
1 for 4. They were all true. I just wanted to see what you would do and if you would follow the trend.
You literally picked... Oh, I hate you!
Luke, for listeners' sake, he actually thought that I might have picked one that was... because of the Uber facts, he thought that they were all true on one of them, and he was like, "Are they all true?" And I said, "No, I'm not that sneaky." But these ones were all true.
And as every question went on, I was like, "Well, the next one can't be true because they've all been true." You
1 for 4.
Dog.
1 for 4, Gary.
Well, I've got a question for you.
Okay.
And it's about Kim Jong-un.
Oh, fantastic.
Kim Jong-il, whichever.
Excellent haircut.
Kim Jong-un. We don't want that mushroom head, right?
Oh, yeah.
So, over the years, North Korea has gone from becoming a an illegitimate little pocket of hunger and sadness to an illegitimate pocket of hunger and sadness that makes the news every week by saying that they're going to kill all of America, right?
Right.
So with the latest happenings in the world, North Korea has come out once again and threatened that if the U.S. does a single thing, it will destroy us all. My question to you is North Korea ever going to do anything? Or are they insignificant and putting up a front to try to intimidate people?
Well, let's just say that I don't think that they ever actually will do something, but it's the squeaky wheel that gets the grease, and in this case, that squeaky wheel is controlling a minority in the world sense population, and it has to bloviate in order to credit itself with power and to make its citizens feel good, or at least have something to buy into, some sort of propaganda.
Yeah.
So without that ideology of, look at this, we're threatening the U.S., nobody else is as brave as us to threaten the U.S., it's a lot of bark with no bite, which, trust me, I mean, I'm not saying that we should interfere or nor should we retaliate, but with Kim Jong-un, just nonstop yapping and yipping, I don't think, if you're not going to do anything now, this is nowhere near the Cold War of Russia and the United States.
No.
There's just a lot of talking and no action.
I think Kim Jong-un, whatever his name is, I think he's just missing something important in his life. He might have watched Going in Style one too many times, and now he's kind of lashing out.
Well, he certainly got the Al Davis haircut. That's for sure. And we can all take that away. All right, for my last Give Me 5, I'm actually going to convert it into a little game that we're going to play, and that the audience can listen along with. And it's
segueing into next week.
Segueing into next week, of course. So we've been on a streak now of about 3 weeks of seeing really bad movies.
Oh, God, it's been really
it's been brutal.
A dark cloud over my head.
Been brutal. So we're gonna forcibly make sure that we see a bad movie this time. And so what we're gonna do is we had a list of 22 movies, of blockbusters that movie studios wished that they could have taken back, that they never would have made because they bombed.
22 biggest blockbuster bombs. Yeah.
So we narrowed that list down for you, the audience, down to 10 movies, and we are going to go down the list. What we're going to do is we're each going to take turns of going down this list and crossing out titles until finally we get down to our final 2. Once we get down to our final 2, Gary will pick one and I get the other one. We are both going to diverge and split up and go watch those movies by our lonesome. And then we will come back next week and we will each review our movie that we were forced to watch. And we are putting all of our pain and misery on air for you, the audience.
I've never seen any of these movies, and there's like 3 of them that I actually wouldn't mind watching, so let's see which ones we decide to knock off.
Yes, just for the audience following along, the movies in consideration are, let's go back and forth with these, Gary. Yeah. Last Action Hero.
Cutthroat Island.
Supernova.
The Alamo.
Stealth.
How Do You Know?
Cowboys and Aliens.
John Carter.
47 Ronin.
Sea of Trees.
All right, so Gary, we flipped a coin before the show. Which one do you want to eliminate first out of that list?
I would like to eliminate The Alamo off that list.
All right, The Alamo, consider it overtaken. The Mexicans got it. All right, I'm going to take out of the list that I do not want to see. I don't want to see Cutthroat Island. I don't want to ruin Pirates right before Pirates of the Caribbean for me.
Alright, well for my next one, I would like you to delete Stealth.
Very good selection. Awful movie. I've seen it before. As when it first came out, so that's 12 years ago. I barely remember it, but I remember how bad it was.
Yeah.
Now we are down to our final 7. I will select. I want to get rid of Supernova.
That's one I was kind of hanging on to, but it's alright because it wouldn't have made my top 3.
Right.
Alright, you're getting rid of that. I'm gonna go ahead and get rid of John Carter.
Alright, again, another one I've seen. I actually liked it a little bit above the ranking, but
yeah,
I'm fine with us not watching it again. Final 5, again, that's Last Action Hero.
You should list off the final 5.
Yes, Last Action Hero, How Do You Know, Cowboys and Aliens, 47 Ronin, and Sea of Trees.
Awesome.
Once we get to those final 2, we'll have some decision making to go. All right. My decision. Let's take off our list Cowboys and Aliens.
Ah, no!
You wanted to see that one?
That was this on my list. All right. We got
it. One more for you, Gary, and then one more for me.
Well, and then we're down to 2?
We're down to our final 2.
Let us cut out 47 Ronin.
Really? I wanted to see that one. That one didn't look that bad. It just looked unnoticed. Darn you!
So
my last one, which determines which movie we are going to see, it comes between Last Action Hero, How Do You Know, and Sea of Trees. I'm going to eliminate at the end of a cue of a fart sound. I'm going to eliminate How Do You Know. I've seen it and I love Paul Rudd, but I've seen it and I don't necessarily want to be stuck with seeing it again. So now it comes down to our final 2, Last Action Hero, Arnold Schwarzenegger, and Sea of Trees with Matthew McConaughey. And now you, good sir Gary,
these are 2 very...
Since you won the coin toss, you get to choose which one you want to review and then which one I am forced to review.
These are 2 very different movies.
Very different.
The Sea of Trees has actually... I kind of wanted to check it out after seeing a little bit about it last year.
And then Last Action Hero
looks absurd.
But what a thrill ride.
Oh, jeez.
Actually, if I'm not mistaken, and I could be totally off my rocker, it's been a while since I anticipate which movie we were going to do, but if I'm not mistaken, Last Action Hero semi-inspired Mockingjay in the Hunger Games in that it's a killing thing, I believe.
No way.
I think so. So at least you have that going for the action movie. If that sways you either way.
I would like...
Which movie? Which one do you want to review?
I want you to review... The Last Action Hero.
Ah, I knew it.
And I will review The Sea of Trees.
All right, you know that was a risk though. The Sea of Trees. At least with Action Hero, I get to watch Arnold.
At least you get
to watch Trees.
Action.
That could be really bad. That could be really boring.
It could be just like a really slugfest. So
Matthew McConaughey's in it. So
Matthew McConaughey's
again,
great, and also the guy from Inception, the Asian actor. I forget his name.
The blossom, it bloom.
Yeah, the guy who's we will both grow old together.
We'll both grow old together. Yeah. All right. So there we go. So next week's podcast is going to, between us, will involve 2 awful movies apparently from The Last Action Hero and Sea of Trees. So we'll tell you how that goes. In the meantime, as we close up here with Give Me 5, right after Gary, I'll tell you what we're doing as a special Chopped Greens edition tomorrow night. So go ahead, Gary, finish us out strong.
You know, it's funny that we've talked about bad movies. Like, we're gonna watch movies that are at least from a financial standpoint bad,
right?
And we've talked about movies that are just bombs, right? Movies that we just hate. Well, I'm gonna ask you, is that really the biggest problem in Hollywood today? I'm pulling this from an article that the AV Club wrote and that the Nerd Writer on YouTube made a video about. It's really interesting. I'm going to give you a little quote. While blatantly terrible movies are frustrating and inevitable, they're vastly outnumbered by those adequate, forgettable movies that major studios release every month. They're not bad. They might even be better than okay, but they're a far cry from great or noteworthy or something that you would like to see more than once. So, what's the bigger problem in Hollywood? Movies that get propped up with a giant budget and everyone is expecting to love and then just crash and burn and bring the whole studio down? Or movies that studios toss out like 3 of every month, like Going in Style or like Ghost in the Shell, that aren't like the worst movie you've ever seen, but you're just like, you know?
So you're asking which one's a bigger problem for Hollywood?
Or just which one's worse? And
in general.
For the movie industry, is it worse to put out just kind of mediocre movies or every once in a while have a movie that just is terrible?
I'll tell you which one's worse in just the general sense, including the wide variety audience. The worst one is sending out bad movies, because when you send out a product,
you mean like a giant bomb of a movie?
No, I'm saying continuously sending out bad movies every week and it's just nothing good's on. I'll tell you why that's worse, is because what you're doing in essence when you continuously send out what you know is a bad product, when you're sending out the bad steak that you know somebody won't eat, but in hopes that somebody will enjoy it and will just pay for it, and you can get rid of it at no cost for yourself. You get back some of that profit you already lost. When you do that, you are decreasing the floor of what bad movies actually are. You're making what used to be bad movies average, and that's not good, because then you're leaving a lot more room at the top for just okay movies to be great, and then great movies are just muddled together with other just really good movies. And although that might not seem like a huge problem, when we have that discernible difference, it's almost as in using the analogy in sports, when we mix up quarterbacks and we see that there are great quarterbacks such as Peyton Manning, Tom Brady, Ben Roethlisberger, Russell Wilson, whatever. When you mix those quarterbacks in with the really good, the Kirk Cousins, the Andy Daltons, the Carson Palmers of the world, and you say that they're great or that they're just not bad, they're good, then what you're really doing is you're depreciating that middle class. And when that middle class is gone, it's gone. And then you can never get it back. And unfortunately, that's what we're doing, is there's no longer an acceptable medium of where you go in realizing that it's going to just be a meh movie.
Yeah.
Because when you're just making bad products, it's bad for business, bad for the audience, and bad all around.
I would agree. I would suffice to say that one bomb every few months is not as bad as 3 kind of just lame movies every month.
Yes, I've always lived by the mantra of, if you're going to bomb fantastically.
I like that.
And speaking of bombing, I'm hoping that I don't bomb later on this week.
In the next bracket challenge.
In the next bracket challenge, which will be concerning the NBA. So as some of you film goers might not know about Chopped Greens, it is also a sports podcast as well. And I host the Chopped Greens podcast with Luke Wright, and we discussed various sports aspects. But Gary, as you may or may not know, also loves the NBA. So in light of the upcoming NBA playoffs, we are going to be doing an NBA playoff bracket challenge. Now that's going to involve all 3 of us, and we'll get a little bit more in detail on the actual podcast itself tomorrow. We're going to be dropping that on Thursday. On Thursday, for all of you listening, we are going to be dropping that, and you will enjoy. But trust me when I say that this bet is going to trump. Well, I guess we can't really use that word anymore lightly, huh?
You can say Trump. You can say it's got a lot more twang now. Like, I'm gonna Trump you. Like, whoa, you're gonna come out of nowhere and just destroy everything.
Well, I feel like it's almost lost its original. It's one of those words that it's lost its original intention, almost to the same essence of gay. It used to mean happy, just straight up happy.
You can't use Trump as like its original verb now, because now it's like, well, why are you saying that? Why are you saying Trump?
Yeah. So, anyways, it will supersede the bet of just a profile picture and profile post.
Oh, this is going to be... We're going to have a video special on this. Someone is going to get utterly humiliated. Whoever loses, we choose their punishment. So
we are going to have a fun little bet. Please, even if you're not into sports, just listen to this podcast, because I assure you, you will want to be in the know, and you will want to know what's up for grabs in this podcast. So that's going to be 2 days from now. Tomorrow, we're going to be having a podcast with Coral Denny concerning food. Everybody tune into that. Gary, anything you want to plug?
You know what, guys? I've been running this movie review site for like the last 37 years. It's called GaryBearReviews.wordpress.com. That's GARBEAR. I review every movie that I see, good, bad, ugly, great, whatever you call it. And I would just love if you guys would give my site a little check out. I have lots of GIFs, lots of animations, and lots of great insight on cinema, so come look at it.
All right, leaving in style, it's been Gary Boucher, my guest host. I'm Philip Amerine, and this has been Chopped Greens. Thank you all for listening.